Welcome aboard the GT6, a 50-foot performance cruiser from Elan Yachts in Slovenia. Ten years ago now, we did the test on the 350 and indeed the 310, which I think were pivotal boats for Elan and the designer Rob Humphreys, because they brought about this chined, wide, twin rudder shape, which has then been used by the production cruisers a lot in the time since then. This is the biggest new launch from Elan since then, really. It's a big boat, very beamy, 50 feet, but they put a lot into the design and marketing of it. GT6, here we are sailing it in beautiful evening light of the Firth of Clyde in Scotland, home to their UK distributors. It's designed again by Humphreys in the UK, but they've also had help with the styling this time. Needs little introduction, Studio Porsche. So we'll have a look at what all of that design effort and budget gets you on a boat this size today. So we were lucky enough to have some lovely sailing yesterday. It's gone a bit light today, but really enjoyable stuff. This boat's been rigged with quite a lot of optional extras. So the running rigging package, the sail package, really nice. Sort of big blue A sail, optional extra obviously, but it allowed us to really maximise the light water conditions, which are more really typical for the Med, where the boat is built and designed to sail in, really. But I guess what this has shown is how well suited it is for lights sailing around here as well. It's a very nice boat to be inside and outside. The big spray hood gives you plenty of protection. There's coaming, reasonably deep coamings in the cockpit as well. You can see this area here is more suited to Med. It's more, open transom layout, swim platform, that sort of thing. But it works well. We've had breakfast off the optional grill, standing, cooking on the swim platform. Keeps the smells out of the interior, and it's a nice place to cook. In terms of sailing and being at the helm, nothing too revolutionary here. Really neatly designed pedestals, good to sit out either on these helm seats or outboard and have clear vision forward. You've got 2 winches each side to hand. I mean, you can reach Genoa sheet easily enough to let that off. These have got upgraded winches, I should say, the Performance 60s, this aft one being powered, which makes quite a lot of sense because you'll see how the running rigging is all led neatly to here as well. So being able to hoist a halyard at the push of a button makes a lot of sense. Where this layout falls down on quite a lot of boats, when you have 2 winches together like this and a lot of tail ends, is what to do with them. Elan's done a nice job there because they're hidden away under here. So it's a relatively deep stowage locker for the tail ends, and that's, you guys still got to be organised about it. Coil them up, make sure they're led properly in there, but it works. It means that when you're helming, you haven't got a snake pit trying to trip you up all the time. Other than that, I think it works pretty well. You can see a bit more of the styling that Porsche's brought in. They've paid a lot of attention to detail on these helm seats, the curve of them, the styling of these pedestal arms and the colouring of them, even the wheels themselves, they've had the input into those, and it's a pretty pleasurable place to helm from. You know, it's not a high performance boat, but we've been sailing in typically single figures, 5 to 10 knots max, really, and able to keep sailing all the time in those winds, sort of nearly matching the wind speed going upwind, and then with the A sail out, similar figures as well. Enjoyable as well. I mean, they're big, deep twin rudders, so it's quite neutral on the helm. I imagine you'll be thankful for that as the wind gets up, but in the light breeze, quite neutral means you don't get a lot of feedback, but equally very, very light and direct steering. A really enjoyable boat to have in light weather, which is all I can talk about because that's what we've had so far. As I mentioned, the ability to stand back here, to be able to use this aft grill area, which is where we had our breakfast. Yes. These optional extras to have the grill there, or indeed the fridge in this side. So you've got a cockpit fridge here. Otherwise those would be just storage lockers in the helm seats. Again, a bit of styling there. And the Porsche, so keep the curves that they've got on the coach roof as well. Another nice thing to mention in here to have, always good to see, emergency safety ladder. So that line leads down through the bulwark, and there's just up under the hull there, there'll be a point that you can grab if you do fall in the water and pull that ladder down. This bathing platform does come down at the push of a button, but that is again another optional extra. Single step up into the cockpit. Look at the nice clear access through that cockpit again. More of a sort of med design to have the split wheels, split tables, walk through access and dive into the sea. Not that I'm going to today. And then moving into the cockpit itself, there is access to that dinghy stowage, and it's not a tender locker, it's just dinghy stowage, so you blow up your dinghy on the aft deck, keep it in there, and one more forward for a big deep life raft locker. This side has cockpit locker, which is just bench deep on this because it has the optional third cabin. Otherwise that would be access into a massive workroom storage area. The jib sheets themselves, the Genoa sheets on the priming winches, those just tail off into the cockpit. The rest, as I mentioned, will go into tail lockers there. And then your access, you can step up from that side deck, from that cockpit bench up onto the side deck, or walk round, as I am here, up onto the aft deck. Permateak, fake teak is standard on the boat. This has the tack line running onto this new spin-lock clutch back here. Neat feature. Runs all the way forward up onto the bowsprit. Moving forward along the side decks, the big flat coach roof, plenty of space on there, and a short grab rail. These are quite neat features as well on the stanchion guardrails, on the push pit and on the pulpit, just having a teak capping on their little resting area, perch area, although we did find that the sheets did snag on the forward ones. And again, if you probably noticed, these little plates in the side decks for checking on the running rigging, so those all come out. You can check on the leads, or when you're mousing the lines through for your running rigging. And these are aluminium cages for them. Really nicely done. It's good to see that, because a lot of people, a lot of yards now do have under deck running rigging, but no access to it if things do go wrong. Main sheets on a bridle, led back to the aft winch each side, so you can control it each side. German led, but mid sheet on the boom, and no option for a traveller. So you can add obviously all these nice performance sails, running rigging, that sort of thing, but yeah, no traveller option. This has optional black painted Selden 2-spreader rig with outboard led shrouds, and the mast itself, you notice, is forward of the cockpit, of the coach roof. So it's quite a forward position mast, and that means it doesn't have to pierce the actual superstructure there, and it leaves you with a huge flush foredeck area. Apparently one of the only yachts of this size to have a completely flush foredeck area. And up forward we have the composite bowsprit, which I think is really neat. It's a standard feature, but the anchor, which we've just raised, sits neatly under that, and you've got a tack point for the A sail with that line leading aft. And then in the lockers, in the hatches below here, you have the chain locker, powered windlass there, the underdeck furler with the furling line leading underdeck here and all the way aft, and then a deep compact sail locker. So we've got, at the moment, we've got covers and fenders in here, but easily enough room for the A sail or a Code Zero, and lines and warps tied up on a rail that steps down into that. So down below on the GT6, first of all, you don't really feel down below. You can see how light an area it is in here. And I guess the things that stay with me, this is our second day on board now, and it has a really nice initial impact, but what stays with you is the attention to and blend of design and styling and the practicality as well. So it's a lovely, bright, airy space to come into, and I guess what having a name like Porsche involved in the design and the styling gives you is the attention to detail. So when you look around the boat, you'll notice how all the curves have been really well thought about, including around the joinery, around the fiddles, and around all the headlining and the moulded curves everywhere. It works really, really well. We'll do a full walk through the interior in a minute, but you can see we're here in a beautiful part of the world, and you get to enjoy it from down here as well. In terms of layout, standard boat has 2 cabins. This has a third, so it has a second aft cabin, and this owner's gone for having a split berth in one of those aft cabins. But plenty of space in the cabins, but the layout works really well. I'm a fan of a forward galley. I think it opens up the saloon area, and I think it's a very practical U-shaped galley that's, you know, with a sink area over one side. You get plenty of stowage, lots of places to work. The only real downside of having this sort of layout is not having a proper dedicated chart table area, but the solution that Elan have come up with works well. Here you still got your bits and bobs in the chart table. You got a deep section here in which the charts can go, and you notice how that bit is fiddled to stop the content spilling out into the deep part. Smaller hull window there, with radio and VHF outboard, and this brilliant switch panel which incorporates Submarine's touchscreen system for viewing your systems. So you got voltage, your battery voltage, bow thruster, engine, battery, your tanks, thermometer, lighting around the exterior lighting, and even a barometer. And a lovely brushed aluminium switch panel from Milan there. And there's 3 latches behind that. Just click those to give full access to the wiring behind. Very neatly done. Each have little switches on the fuses as well. And then a little panel there for your chart plotter. As I said, bright, airy, contemporary, inviting, attractive, stylish. Nicely done, nicely finished, good quality to details, plenty of natural light, big opening central hatch there, small opening ports on each side. A slightly strange thing I found is, I mean, I'm what I would consider fairly average height, 5'10", and that's not I can't see out of these coach roof windows. Equally, if I sit down, I haven't got horizon line on the saloon windows. So I find it a little bit odd to have a raised saloon that is not quite raised high enough to get the full benefit of surround viewing. Anyway, you do get the benefit of lots of natural light. And as I said, it's all been done pretty well, especially for the price point that it's in. I like having this stowage area here, so this is broken into 2 lockers as is, nice and deep. That's got director's chairs in there to join the saloon table, but you can imagine that being wet weather locker should you wish it as well. Loads of headroom here, so I can only just, you know, reach this ceiling comfortably, but somewhere to grab hold of moving forward. This table itself extends that way each side, and then there's a button underneath that you push to twist the whole thing around, so then you can sit 5, 6 easily around this table. It also lowers as well, so you know, you fold that back up, you lower it, it's more of a coffee table solution. This aft heads area, fairly narrow doorways coming into the cabins and the heads, but it works well. Fairly tight entrance into the shower, but you've got a seat there. Again, nice fixtures and fittings, shower head, glass folding doors, similar to the forward one, and slightly annoyingly small egg-shaped sink there. I don't know why they don't make those. A little larger, it's probably style over practicality there a little. Again, this quite narrow doorway, but plenty of headroom into this optional 3rd cabin. Another whole port there, stowage in a single lit wardrobe, and that cubby hole. Otherwise, really, it's the double berth with seating outboard. And in each cabin each aft cabin, there is access, side access into the engine bay as well. If I move aft on this one, we can have a look into access to the steering gear. So that is the quadrant to one of the rudder stocks, and that is the bar that links the 2 rudder stocks, and behind it the autopilot ram. Mounted up in there is the Webasto heater. So it's a bit of a tight fit in here because this is the dinghy garage above it. And then the main engine access is conventional under the companionway steps that lift on gas struts. This one has the upgraded 80 horsepower, I think it's sort of 60 Volvo is standard. This is 80 Yanmar. Easy to access the impeller, check the oil, change the fuel filter, and there is access from round the other side of the cabin, of the port cabin, to get at the gearbox side. Port aft cabin, bit more swinging, changing space here, so you get a double lit wardrobe. This would normally be a big double berth. This owner wanted a split one, which it does have the floorboards act as infills, so you can join those into a big double. Again, side access into the engine bay. This has a heating system throughout, which we used well last night. Nice brushed aluminium light switches, details, reading lights in the right places, lots of places, charging points, USB and 12 volt. That infill area there is stowage on this one, but that's where a generator would be if you chose it. And again, aft access into the to get at the steering gear. Moving forward, you have a water tank under the sofa, fuel tank central under the saloon sole, and another water tank under the forward berth, and it drops down one step to get into the galley. But as I mentioned before, I really like this layout. You still get a practical U-shaped galley to work at when you're at sea, but there's loads of space and it's stylishly done. This one, what's not standard, has got a second fridge, drawer fridge here. Otherwise that would just be stowage. And it's gone for the option of a microwave that pops up here, comes out of that. I won't do it too long, it takes ages. But that can be a coffee machine as well. Really like all this raised stowage that runs throughout the cabins and the saloon there. Plenty of space in those, top down. So as well as that, you've got pan stowage below, front opening fridge, and yet more stowage in under there and under the sink area. Access to the keel bolts here, so they actually put the keel in when it arrives from Slovenia, so that they can truck it here. That leaves a nice double sink, deep double sink area to starboard, more stowage, and then you move into the forward master cabin. And like rubber gaskets around the doors. Good quality of fixtures, fittings, the hinges, the door handles. And then in here, headroom reduces here to about 6 feet or so. Good size wardrobe with shelving in there. So that's going to be really where you put most of your clothes, because below the berth itself there is a bit of stowage under the berth, but otherwise it's these raised lockers, which are great. Again, top down, and a big cuddy area there above the berth for bits and bobs. The reading light's forward, yeah, the headrest is forward, sail locker in front of that, but still plenty of beam there. Loads of natural light and air as well, big hatch. And sort of island berth with a step up each side, and a changing seat here. And that still leaves plenty of room. Let's see if I can show you the stowage access. So forward of that is a water tank and a bow thruster. You do still get some stowage in there as well. And then that leaves room for the ensuite to port. And with heads, these all have electric freshwater flushing as well, but that is an optional extra. Again, it's been finished really nicely. And good sized shower with a seat and stowage above, below and behind the sink area. Oh, I didn't show you the bar. So this could be a TV that pops up from here. Someone has gone for more important extra liquor stowage to supplement what is already in there, but very nicely done. So in terms of where this boat sits in the market, I think it's in quite a nice niche really. It starts at 370,000 euros. So yes, for 50 to 70 grand less, you could get a similar size mass production yacht from Group Beneteau, Hansa, Dufour, that sort of thing. But then equally, the other side, you'd have to step up around 100,000 more for an X-yacht, Grand Soleil, Solaris, that type of boat. And I think you get many of the good features of those boats, both of them sandwiched in between in this niche. It's a very modern, stylish designed boat. It's going to give you a pride of ownership. I think it's going to keep its resale value quite well because it's built well. It's vacuum infused laminate, and there's some hand finish quality to the furniture and attention to detail as well, the fixtures and fittings. All in all, I'm pretty impressed by it. You can spec it up like this owner has, so you get much more performance out of it than a standard boat. Yes, that'll cost you, but it'll be a pleasure to sail, which this has been. And I think, in parting, it's about as close to a Porsche as I'm ever going to get to drive.